and welcome to Inner Circle Guidance. Today we're going to be doing a collective reading. Let's find out what the circle needs to know today. We have the Page of Pentacles. We have the King of Cups. We have the Empress. We have the Eight of Swords. We have Temperance. We have the Lovers on the bottom of the deck. With the Lovers being the overall arching energy of this reading, there's a focus here on choices, on balance, on partnerships, on union, on love, and on relationships. So this could also mean that there's a choice between something that is opposing and mutually exclusive. This could be a dilemma that you need to think carefully about and make a decision that's best suited to your situation. It can also mean that you may be in the process of developing your own personal belief systems, regardless of what tradition or societal norms say you need to follow. This is a card of figuring out what your philosophies are, what you stand for, and figuring out what you currently need to decide is important and unimportant in your life. This is a card of really stepping into authentic energy. This is also a card that indicates that you may be at a point in your journey where you have to commit to one path over another or one decision over another that would require you to kind of close the door on one in order to commit to the other. So let's get into it here. Since we have the Page of Pentacles that came out first, for some of you, when it comes to your finances, you may have to make some big financial changes. That could mean that you decide you're going to focus more on investing this year. It could mean that you want to buy a house or buy a car, or you have some larger expense that you want to buy that would either keep you in a certain long-term financial situation for a while or could keep you in one place. But because it's a page here, this is something that it's a decision and an offer where it will start smaller in terms of the effect it's going to have, and then the effect will be more long-term after that. So this could also be that you receive some sort of opportunity that could benefit you financially, but could also mean that your long-term situation could change. So for example, if let's say you got offered a job, but the job was in another state. So you would have the offer and you would have to decide what's important. Is it the amount of money you make, or is it the location you're in? And you would have to decide if you want to move, because obviously if you were given a job out of state, you either have to move and take the job or you have to stay and let it go. So that's just an example, but that's the kind of situation I'm talking about here that could be presented to you. Now, for others of you, this has to do with your own decisions. There's some offer you want to give yourself or some decision that you want to make in terms of your finances. This could be a change in jobs. This could be figuring out specifically what's important when it comes to material gain, when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your career. Then we have the King of Cups. So there's an emphasis here on making sure that you are continuing to remain in tune with your emotions and your inner being, how certain things make you feel, listening to your intuition. I'm hearing that a lot of you have become more connected this year to your higher self, more connected to the energies around you. There's a deeper understanding. And with that, you are being prompted to really tune into that energy to figure out this decision, this choice, or to figure out what's important, what's not important, and to figure out how you want to move forward and which direction you want to go. The Empress is a very abundant energy. It's an energy of whatever you nurture is what's going to grow. It's, again, emphasis on feminine energy, so emotion, on spirituality, on intuition. There's an emphasis here on the spiritual specifically. So you may be either changing the way that you think about certain spiritual practices, certain spiritual principles, or certain philosophies you have when it comes to your spirituality. This could also be that part of the offer and decision and the choices that you have a heavy influence on the spiritual, meaning that you may need to lean into more of what makes you happy and fulfilled and makes you feel that, like, yes, I know this is it, feeling, versus using logic and rational decision making. This could also mean that for some of you, you may be focusing heavily on your self-worth at this time and making a decision that better aligns to your self-worth. This could also be a good time for creativity because the Empress is a very creative energy, which means that for some of you who are creatives or use creative energy a lot when it comes to your career, it may be very important that you are using your creativity, or maybe for some of you, the decision has more of a focus on the creativity aspects and allowing yourself to be more creative versus maybe focusing, say, on money or whatever. This is also a card that indicates that you may need to get more in touch with your sensuality so that you can attract circumstances that bring happiness and joy. You're also being reminded to be kind to yourself, to take care of yourself. I just saw a picture of myself when I was younger. So what I think that Spirit's trying to tell me here is that some of you may need to get pictures of yourself from when you were little and post them various places in your house or in your room or on your mirror as a reminder for when you are engaging in self-talk, that you are not saying anything to yourself that you wouldn't say to the mini little you. For some of you, this could be an indication of pregnancy or motherhood. For those of you who are looking to have a child, or for those of you who have children, this may mean that part of these decisions may heavily be determined by how you see your home life. So that could mean that you need to take more time for yourself, maybe, and hire a nanny, or that could mean taking a job that allows you to spend more time with your kids, whatever it looks like to you, but that may also be an emphasis here. This could also mean that there's a birth of some new idea and some sort of business or project situation that is going to bring about good fortune. For some of you, this could also be an indication that there may be an idea that you've been clinging to for some time, but you haven't actually devoted yourself towards accomplishing it. So this may be you're kind of kicking the butt towards heading in that direction. This is also a card that may indicate you need to spend some time in nature or spend time with Mother Earth or engaging with Mother Earth in some way. For those of you specifically who are worried about finances, I am seeing that you are going to be taken care of. You don't need to worry about that. Worrying is actually the thing that's going to put the obstacle in between you rather than help you. That's going to be the obstacle. Whereas if you trust, the universe will provide. For those of you who are trying to make decisions that literally have to do with love, this could be an indication of relationships being stable, serious, and committed. It can be a signal of marriage. It's a great omen for relationships and family matters. The Eight of Swords is an energy of freedom versus restriction. So I'm seeing that for some of you, part of what's going to be important in this decision and in this choice is going to have to do with how you view your freedom versus if you're feeling restricted. For some of you, you need to make decisions that actually release you in some way and give you more freedom. For others, you may benefit a little bit more from certain amounts of structure. However, again, there's a lot of feminine energy here. Structure is a masculine energy. So there's an emphasis here on trusting your feminine side enough, trusting your intuition and your higher self enough to allow yourself to free yourself, to choose decisions and paths and priorities that release you from constraint, from restriction, from feeling trapped or paralyzed, that empower you, because the Empress is a very empowered energy, and empower you to feel empowered, which is also important. For some of you, I'm seeing that there may be a way to release yourself from a certain situation much easier than you would have anticipated. It's just going to require you to go about things differently than you've done before. I'm hearing some of you may have done things very traditional for a long time, because remember, the Hierophant comes before the Lovers, and the Hierophant is all about tradition and doing things the tried and true way and doing things the traditional methods or the expected methods or the societal norms. The Lovers is challenging that. The Lovers is doing things in a way that may be outside societal norms, but maybe work better for you because you're doing it your way. So with that, when you're making these decisions, you really want to make sure that you're not falling into the negative polarity of the Eight of Swords, where you're overthinking and you're worried and you're fearful, and so you're making decisions based off of scarcity and fear. You want to make sure that you are being authentic to yourself and true to your nature and yourself, and true to how you want to show up in the world and how you want to show up for yourself. And you show up in a way that, even if it doesn't at the time maybe seem totally logical, but if you feel called to do it, that you show up in that way. Because sometimes we can only see what's directly in front of us. We can't see the overall grand scale of things. So sometimes we have to provide that bit of trust to ourselves and to the universe with the Empress. Trust that if you give to the universe will meet you as an equal partner and will provide. Trust you're supported in that way. Make sure you're making decisions in that way. And that gets into Temperance too, because Temperance is also about balance, but Temperance is also about patience. Because I'm seeing that with the Temperance and the Empress card coming out, there's some huge abundance and benefit that's going to come in, but it's not going to be immediate. And it may not also be something that you see again right away. It may be that you have to kind of start small or start fresh, give it some time and some energy before you fully see the benefits. I'm also hearing that with the Temperance card, you're also going to be receiving a lot of spiritual downloads, a lot of divine guidance. You want to pay attention to your dreams at this time, because your dreams may be telling you important things. This is also a card of practicing moderation and a voluntary self-restraint. So it's interesting how the Temperance card came out right after the Eight of Swords. There may be some sort of restraint required from you, but it's going to be a restraint of self that you voluntarily maybe giving up in order to get something else. So for example, you could abstain from alcohol to gain more clarity, or you could abstain from watching a lot of television to receive peace, or you could abstain from I'm lactose intolerant, so the first thing I go to is ice cream so that your stomach doesn't hurt and you don't feel like crap. But anyway, so you get the point here. There may also be a bit of self-restraining in a positive way, not restriction, but voluntary self-restraint that may be beneficial to you. This also can be a card of not doing things in excess. Part of the decisions that you may be making may require you to walk more even ground, to allow more consistency to show up in your life. This can also be a card of inner peace and healthy relationships. It's a card of harmony. It's a card of serenity. It's a union of duality energies coming together to work towards something. This is a card of testing things before jumping into the deep end. It may be that part of the way to really go about freeing yourself from a certain situation is to create a certain amount of voluntary restraint that doesn't feel like restriction. Because when you feel trapped and restricted, what do? You rebel against whatever it is. But you have to remember there's going to be a certain amount of resistance you're going to feel towards doing something new or doing something challenging. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. It just means that it's uncomfortable because you haven't done it before, you haven't experienced it before. There may also be a certain amount of restraint when it comes to your thinking as well, because we also have swords is all about communication and ideas and thoughts. You may need to restrain certain negative thinking patterns or restrain certain negative self-concepts or restrain yourself from allowing yourself to worry too much. You may need to give yourself a certain amount of healthy boundaries with things in order to really release yourself from some of these things that you may be allowing to tie you down, or you may be feeling restricted from. So this is your reading. If it resonated with you, don't forget to like this video and comment your affirmation down below. Your affirmation for this reading is, I am choosing to prioritize that which I deem important in my life. And I am nurturing the energies that I want to grow. And as always, may your life be full of light, full of love, abundance, and gratitude. I'll see you next time.